Elections, they have a language of their own. It's not spoken in words, but in numbers. And if you really know how to listen, if you can see the patterns in the data, the people will tell you everything you need to know about the state of their governance. It's the most honest feedback loop in any democracy. Today, we're going to listen in on one of these conversations, a conversation happening in the hill state of Nagaland, in a single constituency called Noksen. And believe me, the story being told here has lessons for all of us. It all comes down to this number, 188. That's it. In the 2023 election, with more than 10,000 people casting their vote, the entire result came down to a margin of just 188 votes. Just think about that for a second. That's not a wave, it's not a mandate. It's the size of a few large families, maybe one small village. The entire weight of a 5-year term now rests on this incredibly thin margin. This number speaks volumes about division, and about an electorate that is balanced on a knife's edge.
So we have to ask the question, what is this number really telling us? You see, a number like this is never random. It's a signal, a powerful signal of deep frustrations, of loyalties that are shifting like the soil after a heavy rain. It's telling us that the old ways of winning an election just aren't cutting it anymore. It points to a community where patience has run out and where every single voice, every single problem has the power to change the future. To understand the story behind 188, we need to go beyond the numbers. We need to understand the land and the people who call Noksen home.
You know, to really understand an election, you have to feel the pulse of the land. You have to understand the daily struggle, the things that make life hard, the things that deny people their basic dignity. The votes in a ballot box, they aren't just statistics. They are the final, whispered expression of 1,000 daily frustrations. So what is life really like in Noksen?
This is a rugged, beautiful place. It's a land of hills and forests home to the Chang and Yimkyung communities. Here, life is tied to the soil, to an agrarian economy. But the geography, it isn't just a pretty backdrop. It's an active player in people's lives. The terrain is tough. It isolates. It makes everything harder. And so it shapes what people need and what they demand from their government.
And their demands are not small. These are fundamental problems. Let's break it down. First, connectivity. A bad road here isn't just an inconvenience, it's a lifeline being cut. A washed-out bridge in the monsoon means a farmer's crops might rot before they ever see a market. It means a sick child might not make it to a clinic in time. It's a constant grinding source of anxiety. Then there's unemployment. When more than 1 in 5 young people can't find work, it's not just an economic issue, it's a crisis of hope. And finally, when the basics fail, schools without teachers, clinics without power, and people feel that public money is just disappearing, trust dies. And when trust dies, governance itself begins to crumble. Okay, so with that reality in mind, let's turn back to the numbers. Because every broken road, every lost job we just talked about, it finds its voice in the cold, hard data of the election. The numbers themselves have no emotion, but they show us the consequences of emotion. They give us a perfect anatomy of the people's verdict. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Look at that turnout, over 81%. These are not apathetic people. This is a highly engaged community. People here believe their vote is power. But all that effort, all that democratic faith, produced a result decided by a handful of people. This combination of high engagement and a razor-thin margin tells you one thing. This is a deeply divided and contested place. Both sides got their people out, but neither could land a knockout punch. So what does that mean? It means the entire political future of Noksen can be changed by about 200 people changing their minds. A swing of just 2 or 3% flips the whole seat. This makes the constituency incredibly volatile. But it also means that the constitutional value of informed, responsible public speech is not just an ideal here, it's a practical necessity. In an environment this sensitive, a single rumor can cause immense damage, but a single genuine act of outreach can have a massive impact. And this volatility we saw in 2023, it didn't just come out of nowhere. No, it's the peak of a trend that's been building for years. To really get what that 188 vote margin means, we have to look at the data over time. We have to see this not as a single event, but as the latest chapter in a story of rising competition in Noksen. This chart, well, it tells the whole story. Back in 2013, the victory margin was over 1,000 votes. Comfortable. By 2018, it was cut almost in half. And then in 2023, it just collapsed to 188. You can't argue with a trend like that. It's a clear, steady erosion of political dominance. The days of taking voters for granted are well and truly over. And at the very same time, something else is happening. Look at the turnout. While it's still high, it has been steadily falling, from a massive 94.5% down to 81.5%. So you have tighter races and fewer people showing up to vote. What does that suggest? It could be a sign of growing disillusionment. Maybe a part of the electorate is starting to lose faith that anyone can solve their problems. So what's the big lesson here? It's that the voters of Noksen are not a captive audience. Their loyalty isn't guaranteed to anyone. They are behaving like smart consumers. They are driven by issues. They're sending a crystal clear message. Our vote is a tool. If you don't fix our roads, if you don't create jobs, if you don't deliver, we will find someone who will. Performance is the only currency that matters now. Okay, so if you're a leader facing this new reality, what do? If the old playbook isn't working, what's the path forward? The answer isn't bigger promises or louder rallies. The answer is to build a better system. A system that uses data, that's designed to serve people, and that is engineered from day one to build trust. We can actually lay out a blueprint for any leader who wants to earn the people's mandate by actually governing well. Let's think of it as the Chaturmukha Doctrine, a strategy with 4 faces that must all work together. It understands that winning elections and governing effectively are not 2 different things. You need a sharp, data-driven electoral strategy. You need a strong, on-the-ground organization to listen. You need a compelling narrative that offers a real vision. And you need smart management of your resources. All 4 faces have to be perfectly aligned. And this isn't just theory. This translates into very real actions. Electorally, you use the data to focus on those few polling booths that can swing the election. You make specific promises, like a dedicated road fund. Organizationally, you get back to basics. You reactivate your teams in every single village, and you open up modern channels to listen, like a WhatsApp group for every community. Your narrative has to be positive, a vision for Noksen 2028, while still acknowledging today's problems. And resource-wise, you have to be smart, and you have to be ready to fight misinformation online instantly. You can structure this whole thing as a disciplined 90-day mission. This is the opposite of a last-minute panic. It is a systematic, phase-by-phase plan. The first 30 days are for preparation, getting your candidate, your maps, and your volunteers ready. The next 50 days are for relentless outreach, door-to-door, village meetings, constant communication. And the final 10 days are pure execution, a laser focus on getting every single one of your supporters to the polling booth. This is how campaigning becomes a science. Ultimately, what this blueprint is really about is a fundamental shift in political thinking. It's about moving away from the politics of personality and toward the politics of systems. Because real trust isn't built in the last 90 days of an election. It's earned over 5 long years of consistent, reliable action. And it's the system that delivers that action. Let's just put the 2 approaches side by side. The old way is about grand promises at big rallies. The new way is about a system for logging every single citizen's grievance and tracking it until it's solved. The old way is top-down talking. The new way is peer-to-peer conversation. And this requires a new commitment. Under India's data privacy laws, this communication must be built on consent and respect for the individual. That respect, in itself, becomes a way to build trust. It is a move away from relying on one big personality and towards building a system that solves problems for everyone. And that brings us to the very heart of the matter. The solution for the people of Noksen and for so many others is not a new savior. It's not a bigger promise. The answer is better systems. It's that simple. Systems that are built to listen, systems that are built to deliver. Because in the long run, it is only these systems that can build the kind of trust that lasts. So, in the end, the story of Noksen isn't just about Noksen. It's a snapshot of a bigger change happening all across India. We're seeing a smarter, more connected electorate that is simply running out of patience with the old way of doing things. The lesson from those 188 votes is a profound one. It's a calm warning, but it is also a clear blueprint for the future. If you want to become a people-centric leader and uplift your constituency, get in touch with blueprintstrategies.ai at mgr@blueprintstrategies.ai or call 080-4204-1602. Purpose beyond politics.